My partner confessed she'd faked my autograph to guarantee a vehicle financing deal for her sibling, insisting, "You'll manage the expense." I replied evenly, "I get it." Next, I reached out to my financial institution and authorities to flag the personal data misuse. During the afternoon of her sibling's nuptials, the seizure vehicle arrived at the chapel lot right at 2:15 in the afternoon. I had stationed my ride a few spots distant, observing the drama play out. Her brother, Antonio, remained indoors exchanging vows, oblivious that his gleaming fresh Dodge Challenger faced imminent haul away. This saga kicked off roughly 6 weeks prior, upon my return from the office, spotting Lauren seated at our dining area, her computer screen aglow with a stack of paperwork nearby. She appeared restless yet attempted to conceal it. I inquired about her activity. She quickly closed the device and muttered regarding settling invoices. We had shared our lives for a couple of years, with her residing in my residence for nearly 15 months. Our bond seemed steady. She held her administrative position, I maintained mine, and we divided expenses for services and provisions, despite the property being solely mine. It seemed equitable. That night, she repeatedly checked her device, smirking mysteriously. I chose not to probe, since I avoid intruding on personal communications. I assumed any vital matter would emerge naturally. Several days afterward, my lender rang. The agent queried whether I'd sought vehicle financing lately. I denied it. She detailed an incoming request bearing my particulars, requiring validation prior to clearance. I clarified I had initiated nothing and urged rejection at once. She logged the entry and suggested reviewing my financial history. I ended the line and accessed my record promptly. A fresh probe for automobile borrowing appeared from the day before. The request remained pending, owing to the lender's checks. My identifier, tax ID, all elements were listed. An individual had exploited my credentials. Lauren entered from her shift some 25 minutes subsequent, noticed me fixated on my screen, and wondered at the issue. I shared that an attempt had occurred to secure vehicle funding under my name. Her expression paled dramatically. She took a seat and revealed a revelation. She described how her brother Antonio urgently required a ride. His financial standing was wrecked by prior seizures and overdue obligations. He had located a Challenger he desired but faced denial. She opted to assist by lodging a request as guarantor employing my data. Believing I'd consent upon hearing the details, I questioned her sincerity. She noted Antonio required dependable mobility, and my financial profile was robust. She asserted it imposed no burden since Antonio would handle installments. I queried her source for my tax ID. She conceded discovering it amid fiscal forms in my storage unit. I stated that constituted deception. She bristled, deeming deception an overstatement. She merely aided her kin, and after our time united, I ought to support likewise. I emphasized true aid involved prior consultation. She acknowledged anticipating my refusal, thus proceeding unilaterally. I rose and directed her to contact Antonio and inform him the funding was off. She balked, noting the vendor anticipated his collection in 48 hours. I replied that fell outside my concern. She began weeping, claiming her entire clan depended on it, with Antonio having offloaded his prior vehicle for the initial sum. I informed her of my intent to alert the lender regarding credential misuse. She fretted, clutched my sleeve, and pleaded against it. She warned it would devastate Antonio and incite familial disdain toward me. I withdrew and dialed. The lender contact this instance was firm. They recorded particulars and inquired on pursuing an official deception filing. I affirmed. They guaranteed halting the request and launching a probe. Lauren wept profusely by then. I concluded the call and instructed her departure for the evening. She contested, asserting shared domicile. I recalled my title on the title and access mechanisms. She hurled every insult imaginable, charging me with wrecking her brother's existence. I countered she should have foreseen that prior to appropriating my credentials. She seized her bag and ignition, exited furiously, and banged the portal fiercely enough to dislodge a framed image from the partition. The following dawn, I visited the law enforcement office and submitted a declaration for credential misuse and prospective deception. The deputy noted interpersonal incidents like these proved challenging yet vowed to advance the filing. I supplied duplicates of lender records. He indicated an investigator would pursue. Lauren dispatched roughly 50 digital notes that day, regrets, fury, then further regrets. Subsequently, her mother rang via Lauren's line. I responded once. Her mother blamed me for fracturing their unit, noting Antonio supported 3 offspring and required the ride for employment. I countered Antonio should have stewarded funds prudently without engaging in deception. She disconnected. 3 days onward, a rap sounded at my entry at 8 in the evening. Via the viewer, I identified Lauren's father, a robust figure from prolonged building labor. I unlatched with the restraint engaged. He demanded a masculine dialogue. I proposed conversing via the barrier. He warned of a grave error, that Antonio formed kin and kin supports mutually. He labeled me self-centered and vindictive. I retorted I hadn't perpetrated credential theft. He advanced, urging reconsideration of harm to his unit. I retrieved my device, initiated capture, and allotted 30 moments to vacate my grounds. He scowled, dubbed me timid, and departed. The lender concluded their review in a fortnight, verifying the autograph forgery and request invalidity. They sealed the matter and provided records, which I relayed to the law enforcement investigator. Thus I discovered the nuptials. Lauren's kin shared digitally of Antonio's impending union. An elaborate external rite. I verified the timing and calculated. I phoned the investigator for updates. He reported sufficient grounds to indict Lauren but required additional elements, projecting another fortnight. I referenced the nuptials and ride, and he pledged exploration. Herein lies the frenzy. Antonio had procured the vehicle regardless, bypassing my data as the lender intervened. He persuaded his father to guarantee at an alternate vendor for an alternate challenger. His father's profile sufficed marginally. I gleaned this when Lauren appeared at my abode one midday. I barred entry, yet we conversed via the mesh barrier. She claimed Antonio secured his ride, rendering my turmoil futile. I stated the turmoil stemmed from her deception. She urged release. I queried her disclosure to authorities of her credential theft bid. She noted her counsel deemed intent challenging to establish. I offered no retort, merely declared our severance and cessation of visits. She withdrew, evidently deeming herself victorious. 48 hours later, the investigator rang. They proceeded with indictments for credential misuse and deception against Lauren. He solicited my testimony if required. I consented. He promised notifications. Lauren faced custody on a Thursday dawn. The investigator noted probable liberation post-initial hearing on personal bond. I expressed gratitude. Her clan erupted. Her father dispatched a recording denouncing me vehemently. Her mother materialized at my employment site, weeping, necessitating guard removal. Her kin forwarded an extended dispatch claiming I sabotaged Lauren's prospects over an error. I disregarded all. Lauren secured release and resided with progenitors. She persisted in outreach via varied contacts. I obstructed them. Her digital mails diverted to junk. A relative contacted digitally, asserting familial comprehension of my ire, yet prosecution excessive. They claimed Lauren absorbed the moral. I responded she enacted a grave offense and must endure repercussions. The relative severed contact. The nuptials loomed a fortnight distant. An unfamiliar counsel rang, claiming representation for Lauren and seeking settlement. I declared no basis for parley. He proposed Lauren's reimbursement and therapeutic sessions for charge dismissal. I declined. He deemed me intransigent and I terminated. On nuptial day, I motored to the estate locale near midday, situating where the portal viewed discreetly. Attendees converged by 1:30, bridal ensemble, image capturers, all attired elegantly. It appeared lavish. At 2:15 p.m., a seizure rig entered. I'd alerted them prior regarding Antonio's vehicle, and they verified an ongoing haul mandate from installment defaults by Antonio and progenitor. The operator identified the ebony challenger adjacent the portal, affixed rapidly, and operated adeptly. Attendees gestured. An individual dashed toward the right zone. Antonio, suited formally, emerged hastily, berating the operator who presented credentials. Antonio's father intervened, duo disputing as the operator persisted. The spouse emerged on the platform, distressed evidently. The rig departed bearing the vehicle. Antonio remained immobilized. His father raged. Attendees clustered, perplexed. The spouse wept. The image capturer continued captures undeterred. Lauren discerned my ride and advanced, shrieking of deliberate nuptial sabotage. She termed me a fiend. I asserted non-involvement. Antonio's payment lapse prompted this. She imputed the seizure alert to me. I dared evidentiary proof. She lacked, merely escalating vocally. Her father neared, poised for vehicular assault. I elevated my device, capturing. He halted, directed Lauren's retreat, and they rejoined the right. The unit scowled remotely. I ignited my ride and exited. That evening, roughly 30 dispatches arrived, predominantly menaces. One from an unknown elder noted my locale. I forwarded to authorities. Others faced obstruction. The nuptials proceeded post-pause. Per digital captures, all beamed. Absent the lot disarray. Lauren's judicial session followed 3 weeks later. She accepted a settlement. Admitted to prospective credential misuse, biennial oversight, 200 civic duty hours and penalty. No incarceration yet stained history. Her counsel rang, suggesting contentment with reprisal. I termed it equity, not reprisal. He disconnected. Antonio's union dissolved 4 months onward. The spouse surmounted not the nuptial debacle and sought dissolution, invoking mental strain. Antonio inexplicably imputed me. Lauren dispatched digitally 6 months post-adjudication, noting fulfillment of temperament therapy for oversight and recognition of error. She'd elevated kin sans fallout contemplation. I abstained response. Her effects lingered in my storage. I messaged once, allotting a span for retrieval. She arrived with progenitor, freighted a hauler mutely, and departed. I observed via pane and refreshed mechanisms post, though she lacked access to fresh ones. A 12-month later, I encountered her father at a fuel depot. He positioned adjacent, gazing wordlessly. I concluded and motored away. That marked final sighting. The episode incurred roughly $2,000 in temporal and juridical outlays, preferable to $50,000 encumbrance for an undesired vehicle. My financial profile endured intact. The lender issued remorse correspondence for delayed detection and fortified my profile. I resumed companionship pursuits 8 months onward. On our sophomore outing, I recounted Lauren to the lady. She queried remorse. I negated, asserting individuals must confront deed repercussions. She concurred. We courted briefly, yet it waned. At minimum, she forewent credential appropriation. Antonio tendered a linkage bid digitally circa 18 months later. I spurned. He dispatched, expressing regret for flawed decisions and permitting Lauren's entanglement. He claimed reformative efforts. I pondered retort yet refrained. Certain regrets mend not the fractured. Lauren's progenitor rang concurrently, recording Lauren's stability, consistent labor, and avoidance of infractions. She noted Lauren sought resolution. I erased. Resolution transpired at her admission. My counsel affirmed adept management, that multitudes yield to kin coercion or remorse. I disavowed remorse. She deemed it salubrious, that abetting misconduct aids none. I persist in the domicile vocation unaltered. Existence advances. I occasionally recall the nuptials, Antonio's astonishment, the lot frenzy, the spouse's lament. I harbor mild pity for her, entangled in their disorder. Yet that faulted not me. It traced to Lauren's credential theft election, Antonio's complicity, and their unit's mendacity over candid solicitation. They elected,